Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli. I want to let you in on one of Rapala's best kept secrets. I'm not kidding you. It's the DT Fat 1. And this is a really under talked about bait. You know, when you look at this bait and you look at the bulk of it and the bill angle, and that bill's almost straight up and down, you immediately get a sense for what this bait is good at. And it is a wake bait. In fact, it's one of the best wake baits I've ever thrown. The unique thing about it is for those zones where you want to keep a bait near the top but not on the top, this is the perfect bait. I'm talking about over shallow grass in extremely shallow water and waking it around cover targets, floating docks, laydowns, logs. It's an amazing bait. You know, the neat thing about the DT Fat 1 versus a lot of other wake baits is you can really fish this bait at any speed. You can fish it slow, you can fish it medium, but for clear water situations, and this is one of my favorites, I can burn this bait and it still has that same action and it won't blow out of the top. If you encounter one of them situations where the fish are feeding up, but they don't want to commit to a topwater, there's no better bait than a wake bait. And I want to give you a couple tips on how I adjust my equipment and my rod positioning to get this thing to run shallower or deeper. For those situations where I want it boiling the top, just under the surface, I use monofilament fishing line, old school monofilament. I typically use 12 to 17 pound tests, and mono's buoyant, so it wants to help this bait rise. The other thing I do is when I want it near the top, rod positioning is real key. So I'm going to hold my rod tip up. I'm going to hold it at about 11 o'clock, and that high rod position helps this bait go just under the surface, even if you're burning it. Now, the other scenario is when I want it to run a little deeper, over top of submerged grass, around floating docks and logs, and in that case, I change my line to fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon's a dense sinking line. It's going to cause this bait to run a little bit deeper. And the other thing I'll do is with rod positioning, when I want it to run deeper, I'm going to hold my rod tip down. I'm going to hold my rod tip about 4 or 5 o'clock rod position. That'll help drive this bait a little bit deeper. Let me tell you something. If you want an alternative to a spinnerbait, an alternative to a topwater if you're missing it, try a wake bait. Tie on that DT Fat 1. Think about your rod position in your line, and you're going to catch some real giants. Mike Iaconelli talking about one of my favorite wake baits, the DT Fat 1.